President Obama, I have a lot of questions for you. I'm an American citizen, and since we no longer have a free press, since we no longer have reporters and journalists who are asking the questions that are important and necessary, they have left the job up to the American people. And I do hope that many people follow suit and ask questions and demand answers. I'm using this medium for two reasons. One, it's the medium that you chose to use during your first campaign, and you used it effectively. Two, because writing to Washington is basically an act of absurdity today. There is a wall between we the people and those we have chosen to represent us. I'll be putting up more videos. My list is endless. And they only pertain to the 5 years of your presidency, because in these 5 years, so much has happened. My first question pertains to William Lynn, your Deputy Defense Secretary, the guy you chose to appoint as Deputy Defense Secretary. And my question is twofold. The question is, why did you appoint William Lynn? During your first campaign, you repeatedly talked about what was wrong with Washington, and one of the things that was wrong with Washington was the revolving door lobbyist, those who benefited in the private sector from their work in the public sector, those going between private industry and working in Washington. William Lynn epitomizes what is wrong with Washington. He epitomizes what you stated during that first campaign was wrong. William Lynn is the perfect example of the revolving door lobbyist between the Pentagon, the Defense Department, and the defense industry, a Raytheon lobbyist. Now, you took the oath of office, and the next day you did that whole dramatic ceremonial signing of an executive order banning lobbyists. And then you turned around within days and granted waivers and hired lobbyists. They got waivers. William Lynn got a waiver. Now, any reporter or journalist worth their salt would have asked you, excuse me, what is going on here? But we didn't have that. We had a liberal progressive media doing their yahoos for you signing an executive order that was a whole staged performance. And without the reporters asking those questions, well, the American people, unless they do the research and find out from alternative sources that actually that whole stage performance was just that, they wouldn't know. They'd think you were actually banning lobbyists from your administration. They would think that you were fulfilling your promises during that campaign. I did the research. So, William Lynn, during the Clinton administration, he was the Pentagon's comptroller, the chief financial officer of the Pentagon from, I believe the years were 1997 to 2001. The chief financial officer, his duties, one primary duty as the Pentagon's comptroller, was to publish audited financial statements. And yet, William Lynn never did publish any financial statements. And under his watchful eye, the Pentagon reported in 1999 $2.3 trillion missing from the Pentagon. Under William Lynn's watchful eye. 2000, the Pentagon reported another $1.1 trillion missing. Now that was a known fact. You knew it. So how is it that you could appoint the same man who didn't perform his duties and somehow went missing $3.4 trillion under his watchful eye? It seems to me that your judgment was a bit off. You see, if I had a company and my chief financial officer was not performing his main duties, I'd fire him. But if I had a chief financial officer who, well, somehow couldn't account for $2.3 trillion, I'd have questions. And if that chief financial officer couldn't answer my questions, I'd call the police. He'd be arrested. I wouldn't retain him. I wouldn't keep him in the same position so that I could report the next year another 1.1 trillion missing. So, that was your appointment as Deputy Defense Secretary. Somehow you thought he needed to be rewarded. He needed to come back into the Pentagon. In light of what is really an austerity plan that's taking place, yesterday I learned the military is ending the tuition assistance program for our servicemen and women. And that, what did it cost last year? $357 million? Well, that's paltry when you think of the missing trillions. Oh, off the subject a bit. In 2001, a year after the Pentagon reported the additional 1.1 trillion missing under William Lynn, Secretary Donald Rumsfeld reported on September 10, 2001, another 2.3 trillion missing from the Pentagon. That's a whole lot of money missing from the Pentagon. Never accounted for, never looked for. He reported that on September 10, 2001. Interesting that the next day, well, that was the most dramatic news day in our history in this country. 9/11 takes place. So, considering that none of this has been followed up by our mainstream media, I'm following up now. And what I would like answered is, how could you possibly think that William Lynn was an experienced and qualified person to be Deputy Defense Secretary? And why have you not asked William Lynn to take off a little bit of time from his duties as Deputy Defense Secretary and kind of look for that 3.4 trillion that went missing? Or perhaps he could now perform those duties that he didn't when he was comptroller. Perhaps now he could actually file those financial statements. And once that 3.4 trillion is missing, well, we'd be in a lot better shape, wouldn't we? You're asking the American people to sacrifice a whole lot, but you seem to feel that you still get to go golfing. Taxpayer money. What was that golfing trip to play golf with Tiger Woods cost? That cost nearly $1 million. And the lavish vacations that you're taking with your family, taxpayer money. We foot the bill. We pay your salary. And those vacations that your wife and kids are taking with their friends, do you really think that we should be paying for your wonderful lifestyle? And we are getting so tired, and so fed up. How many millions of Americans are suffering? Don't you think that $1 million weekend with Tiger Woods could have been used to help some American people? Don't you think these lavish vacations that we're paying for, how about you stop taking a few of those vacations and put that money back into that tuition assistance program? Don't you think our service men and women deserve a little bit better? I don't like the fact that you appointed a man that could have stolen $3.4 trillion from the Pentagon. I'd like that money back. And I'd like the American people to start waking up and ask you directly questions, demanding answers, because, Mr. Obama, you do work for us. We don't work for you.